My name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going over my September wrap-up. So September was a sort of weird month for me. I ended up in a reading slump near the middle of the month. So I didn't actually read too many books until we got to the Contemporary-a-thon. I will talk about those books a little bit here, but I will also link that vlog down below in case you guys are interested in seeing that. So basically the only thing I really read besides the books for Contemporary-a-thon was this manga series right here. I did read Waiting for Spring. This is written by Amnesiac, and I read volumes 1 through 7. I believe the 8th volume recently came out. I don't have that yet, so I haven't picked it up. But this is a shoujo manga series about a girl named Mitsuki who is sort of shy, and so she ends up somehow making friends with the boys on the basketball team. It does have some of those reverse harem anime and manga elements in it, so it does give me like the vibes of like Ouran High School Host Club and Dream and Sun, which are two mangas that I really enjoy. So this is just a really cute one. I gave volumes 1 through 6 4 stars out of 5, and I gave volume 7 5 out of 5. So this is a series that I really enjoy, and I believe it hit its best book as that last one. We get lots of character development from Mitsuki especially, but also from the boys that are her friends, and it's just turning into a really cute sort of shoujo romance as well. I'm just really enjoying these. The art style is amazing. I'm very picky with the type of art that I read, I guess, in manga. There are just some that turn me off in the story, but this one is adorable. Let me show you guys the covers. So we have volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, volume 5, volume 6, and volume 7. So like I said before, the art style in these is just super cute. I really enjoy the way that they are written and the way that they are drawn. And so I'm definitely going to have to pick up the 8th volume in this series, and like I said, this is basically the only thing I read last month besides the stuff for Contemporary-a-thon, so we are going to get into that as well. One thing I did want to mention before we get into the Contemporary-a-thon is that I did also start reading Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I got over 100 pages in. It's not exactly halfway yet. And I did have to stop reading this for the Contemporary-a-thon, but I'm currently at the point where I'm not too sure if I really want to continue. It just sort of feels like nothing has really happened yet. I do see some sort of hints that the author has put in here for the like whodunit sort of thing, but in the over 100 pages, nothing really feels like it has taken off. So I guess I'm asking you guys here, is this something that I should give a second try to? I know lots of people seem to like this book here. Does it get better? Is it going to get better soon? Because right now, like I said, I'm over 100 pages in, and it just sort of feels like nothing's really gotten going. So, I mean, I did read 100 pages or so of this in September as well. Then we had the Contemporary-a-thon. The first book that I picked up for the Contemporary-a-thon was Wotakoi, Love is Hard for Otaku Volume 2. This is written by Fujita. This is a book series that I gave the first one, and actually this one as well, a 3.5 stars. This is a semi-cute series. It was one that was originally written as a webcomic before it was turned into a manga, and I feel like that's my biggest issue with this here. The first book gave us a little bit of like a background on the characters, and this one definitely delves more into the background of the characters. We are following basically two different couples. One is Hirotaka and Nairumi, who are on the cover of the first book, and the second is Hanako and Taro, who are on the cover of this one here. They are basically all self-professed otaku, and the main couple, which is Hirotaka and Nairumi, they end up in a relationship because they feel like other people who are not otaku don't really understand them. We haven't seen too many cutesy relationship emotional type of things, which I would prefer to see, but I do understand where they're going with the characters. But my biggest issue with these is because they were originally written as a webcomic, they are episodic in nature, as in one episode doesn't really follow into the next one. It's just sort of here's an episode, and then here's an episode, and then here's an episode. This one I feel like did a little bit better than the first book, whereas this one had bigger storylines. So in the first half of this one, we followed Hirotaka and Nairumi on their first dates, but it was broken up with the other episodes. So we would have like a first date, and then another episode, and then a first date again, and then another episode. So it would go back and forth. The same thing happened in the second half of this book, where we followed Hanako and Taro when they met in high school. So again, we would get like the flashback to high school, and then an episode, and then a flashback to high school, and then an episode. Which, I did like those longer chunks better, but I'm still giving it a 3.5. I think I still want to continue with the series, but the style of it is not my favorite for a manga. The next book that I read for the Contemporary-a-thon was Sadie by Courtney Summers. This is actually one of my favorite books of the year. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This was so well done. This follows 2 different points of view. We have Sadie, who is our main character, who ends up running away from home after the murder of her little sister, and she is out for revenge. And then it also follows a man named West, who has a podcast about Sadie and trying to figure out exactly what happened when she disappeared. This is a very hard-hitting contemporary. There are definitely some trigger warnings. I would specify them to be child abuse, child sexual abuse, pedophilia, those kind of things. But I really, really enjoyed this one. It was a very hard-hitting story. I felt it in my core, and I'm just so happy I read this. If there is a book that I'm going to suggest you guys read, especially around this time in October, this is probably one that I would really suggest. It was just phenomenal. The next book that I ended up reading for the Contemporary-a-thon is What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. This is a book that I don't have a physical copy of right now on me because I had the ARC copy and I let a friend borrow it, but it is going to be coming out on October 9th, so I'm super excited to get my hands on a real hardcover copy of it. This is another book that I gave 5 out of 5 stars. I do want to have a stipulation on that. I really enjoyed the ride of the book, and I really loved the characters and everything that was happening. However, the ending was disappointing for me. I still want to give it a 5 out of 5 stars because I don't think it was something that would derail it for me to be a 4 stars or even a 4.5, because I really enjoyed the ride that it took me on. But the ending was not something that I was expecting. It was just, it didn't seem to fit the characters very well. It didn't seem to fit the plot very well, and I understand where the writers were coming from, but it was just not satisfying. I absolutely love Ben and Arthur as characters. I am so excited for it, and I heard it's going to be made into a movie, or at least it was optioned for a movie, which is amazing. I really feel like they should do a sequel. I think the setting and the pace of the book and the ending of the book really set it up well for a sequel. I would love to have more from these characters, even if it's their side characters and we follow some of the friends that they had, because their friends as characters were, again, fully realized. I really, really enjoyed it. I love their writing style, and it fit perfectly together. So again, I gave that one a 5 out of 5. And then the next one that I ended up reading for the Contemporary-a-thon was The Chase by Elle Kennedy. This is the first book in the Briar U series. Although it is a spin-off of the Off-Campus series, you are allowed to read them in any order. I've actually never read the Off-Campus series. I've been interested in it, but we had this as an actual paperback book at my bookstore, Barnes & Noble, and so I had to pick this up. This is a very, very cute sort of new adult romance. I did give this a 4 out of 5 stars. This follows our main character of Summer, who has a crush on a hockey player named Fitz. This is a story all about a will they or won't they sort of thing. We find out very early on that Fitz also sort of likes her, but there is a big miscommunication, and so neither one of them really wants to have a relationship with the other one. I really did enjoy this story. I really liked Elle Kennedy's writing style, especially since she is a new-to-me author. This is the first book I ever read from her. The only reason I gave it a 4 is that there were some cliche parts I sort of guessed where parts of it were going, but also I think the characterization of Fitz, our love interest, was a little bit off. On the back, they're trying to play up the whole thing that he's tattooed covered, video gaming, hockey playing, nerd jock, and I didn't really see the nerd part of it come out. I didn't also see the video game part of it very much. They alluded to it, they mentioned it a couple times, but basically we just get a typical sort of jock type of character here, and I was expecting just a little bit more from his character, but I really did enjoy both of them, and I really enjoyed this book. I am sure I'm going to pick up something more from Elle Kennedy in the future. And then the last book that I ended up reading for the Contemporary-a-thon and in September was Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac by Gabrielle Zevin. This is a book that I had previously read around, I want to say, 10 years ago, and this was a reread for me. Back then, around 10 years ago, I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Now I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. The first 2/3 of this book were really hard to get through. I just was not connecting to any of the characters. The plot points of it were sort of not as well developed as I thought they were going to be, but then I got to the last 1/3 of this and I remembered why I enjoyed the book so much beforehand. It's just not as good as I remembered it being. This follows our main character of Naomi, who is in high school. She works on the yearbook committee. She is actually one of the co-editors of the yearbook, and one day she forgot the camera, I believe, at school, so she is the one that has to go back and get it, and while she's there, she ends up falling down the stairs, hitting her head, and has completely forgotten the last, I want to say, like 4 or 5 years. So she has no memory of basically her best friend, her boyfriend, any reason why she's in certain classes or not in certain classes, and I did really enjoy the ending of the book. The first 2/3, like I said, are just not as well developed as I remember them being. They weren't as compelling. They had certain actions that this character was doing that I just didn't agree with, and again, it could be that it's just been so long since I've read it, but I do remember for the last 1/3 of the book why I really enjoyed it. That last third was amazing, but because it's only 1/3 of the book, I'm giving this 3 stars. So those were all the books that I read in September. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Leave me a comment down below letting me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I do have videos up every Monday and Thursday, so I will see you then. Bye!